Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Women in Sports Unplugged. Our guest today is Deepthi Bopaiah. Deepthi is the Executive Director at GoSports Foundation, a national award winning non-profit organization founded in 2008, which supports junior, emerging, and elite athletes across Olympic and Paralympic disciplines. Formerly a wealth advisor and trainer during her 6-year tenure at HSBC, Deepthi decided to cast her lucrative corporate career aside to pursue her passion for sport and has been with the foundation since 2012. A former athlete herself who represented the state of Karnataka in basketball and tennis, Deepthi is working towards building a sustainable, athlete centric sporting ecosystem. Due to her efforts, she has also been selected to pursue the prestigious Shavini Gurukul Fellowship for Leadership and Excellence at the University of Oxford in March 2021. She's passionate about putting India on the world sporting map and leveraging the power of sport to bring about a positive impact in society. Thank you so much, Deepthi, for giving time to come on this show. I'm really delighted to have you on the show and for the viewers to be able to hear your views today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Radha, for having me. I'm really looking forward to have this conversation with you.
Okay, let's begin. I would like to start by asking you, what does sports mean to you?
uh, Sport, in a way, is life. I mean, I can't see life without having some sort of sport in it. I think it just makes it so much more better, happier, because there's sport. And the fact that now I have a job in sport for many years now, I think it's great. So I think for me, sport is life. I mean, growing up as well, for me, my parents are quite sporty actually. My mom used to play hockey, for her college, and my dad used to play tennis. And the memories of us, my sister and I growing up, are all a lot to do with sport and travel and music. And actually, that's really a large part of my passion. These three things are what keeps me going. And some way I try coming back and getting connected to these three things. So yeah, thanks to them. It's been instilled in us. Okay.
But tell me, how did you get initiated into playing sports?
Uh, I think my mom always said that play for the fun of it, enjoy yourself. It is not to really excel. And growing up in school, nobody really spoke to us about Olympics and making it so big. And yes, we had my dad is a crazy tennis fanatic, so tennis was played all the time in our house. All the matches, and I loved Steffi Graf. Growing up, she was like my idol. And then we started playing tennis, and then in school also they encouraged us a lot. My school, Baldwin's, in Bangalore, we had a really large playground, and we had a basketball court, we had tracks, we had a swimming pool. So very fortunate to have that kind of space and a school like that which encouraged sport to that extent. And PT period was just like on in other schools where you just go and run and do some stuff. But I think the post school, the teams that we got into much earlier, maybe fourth or fifth, we were already part of school teams. So we started playing from there. And so school was always a sports team, where we played basketball, and then tennis outside of school. So throughout I played tennis and basketball growing up. So we ended up playing for the state and university. And so a large part of our memories is not really in the classrooms, it's all on the ground, and the friends we've made and the lessons we've learned. uh, so yeah, I think that's our initiation towards sport. And even today, my dad's only question is not how you're doing, did you play some sport? So it's like, you can't have a time where you say, okay, I'm going to take off, I'm not going to play. So something or the other. Even during the lockdown, I actually stayed with them, so we would wake up, do some yoga, meditation. And now I'm teaching them that side of it. because otherwise it's all running and the physical part of it. So it's a nice blend now of both things. But yeah, sport is pretty much, I can't remember a time when there was no sport in my life throughout. So I think that's how sport has been for me, which is why I said sport is life.
Sport is life. Yes. No, but what wonderful memories of your school, and very interesting that you talked about school, because most of the sports people I've interviewed, all of them say how parents played a big role in their life in supporting this passion of theirs, but also that they were fortunate to have schools which were very flexible. Because I was going to ask you how important is the role of a school, because it's the foundation, right, of your childhood, where you go
Yes.
to.
I think the school plays a very critical role, and we had some great teachers. And I still remember our physical education teachers, and just the amount of importance. And even our sports day, we had a proper school band, and a proper band with the person who's leading us, and then we have houses, and it was really competitive. So sport was not just a sports day. For us it was pride, and it was achievement and performance and all of it from there. And then we used to end it with a vote of thanks every sports day, saying it does not matter whether you win or lose, but how you played the game. This particular quote, I'm forgetting of whom, but yeah, we used to say that particular thing. So it's kind of just play, enjoy, do your best. Do your best. You may not win the gold, but even if you finish fourth or fifth, if that's the best you can do with yourself, I think that's amazing. So I think I learned that very early on, and in my work as well. Rather now, this example is very important to mention. So Abhinav Bindra was also on our advisory board till very recently, and he always says that his best performance was at the Rio Olympics, where he finished fourth, and not when he won the gold medal for India. Because he says that he pushed all possible human limits and tried to really be the best possible version of himself and perform to the best of his ability. And he felt that performance was not when he won the medal. So that actually strikes a big chord with everything that we do about excellence, right? Excellence, just getting to the best possible potential of yourself. So I think that has resonated for me over the years, and doesn't have to end with the first rank, or and that never really happened. I'm never in the top in studies. It was always doing sport. So my parents used to be like, please just pass, don't fail a year, like you have to just pass. And yeah, so I have great memories, and all my friends are because of sport. And
Yes.
I'm still, close to a lot of my friends, but yeah, it's all because of sport. I
Yes.
can't take that away at all.
Yes, you mentioned about friends. A lot of people think that sports people lead very lonely lives, but actually, when you're on the tour and you're playing various tournaments, you meet so many different people, and actually, you make such wonderful friends.
Yes.
And I'm trying to bring that aspect out also in so many of these conversations, because a lot of parents think that it's going to be such a lonely life for the child.
I
So tell
think
me, yeah,
the
sorry, go
fact
ahead.
that I played two sports, one was tennis, which was quite a lonely sport in that sense. But we always traveled with a few people,
That's
right?
right.
You traveled with a coach, you traveled with other, players. So that bonding is very different. And, they're all 11, 12, 13, 14, just figuring out things, staying in new places, staying in, uh, you know, random places where sometimes my parents never traveled with me at all. So I remember once we were playing a university tennis tournament, and we were put in a really bad boys hostel and classroom, just that's it. That was the place we stayed. And but we had such a blast because we couldn't believe we were put in that place, right? So I think, but if you were alone, you would have dealt with it very differently. You would have been disappointed. So I think sport has obviously taught you to just face what comes and just have the courage to deal with whatever it is. And if you are in a team sport, it just adds in, because you're not doing it alone. You're doing it with your team, and a large part of the camaraderie and the friendship is formed outside of the game, and which shows during the game. So I think that have been very key lessons in some sense.
Yes. So tell me, Deepthi, you moved into the corporate sector after you finished your education, and you're also a former banker like me, so I can
Yes.
relate to that. And then you again moved back into the world of sports. So how was that time period when you were not in the world of sports to say, you were
Yeah.
in the corporate world, and what made you move towards this?
Yeah. It's actually funny. So post my MBA, and during my MBA, I also did like an internship with Google and with Walt Disney. Walt Disney was my, and they just Disney Channel had just come to India, and I was like, so anything fairy tale like and sport and dream, I love. So I was like their first intern there, and then unfortunately they were buying out another channel, so I couldn't really go and join them from after my MBA. So then, like the first set of companies that come on
Yes.
campus, you want to get placed on day zero, so you're not even looking whether this bank or anything is an option. So I just went and sat there, but I really liked who I met and interviewed with and what they told me about the role. And um, I never ever saw myself as a banker, so uh, that's how I got into the banking world. um, it was a fascinating journey for me, because a large part of what I do today, what I bring to my work, is because of my learnings in the bank. And I think it taught me so much. But throughout that period, I was meeting very rich people, very lovely people who are still friends of mine. But I just kept thinking, like what am I doing? I'm just, I just felt like there was no sense of purpose at some level. And then I remember in 2012, the Olympics had happened, and we were all sitting, around the table after a sales month high and enjoying, and Olympics happening, and everyone in that table for some reason like, oh, India can never do, and it was one of our best performances also. But India doesn't have it. We cannot do it. We don't have the physical body shape to compete with the best of in the world, the rest of the world, and all of that. So I don't know what it was, but I got so angry, and I was so upset. And I was like, why? I mean, we as Indians are doing well in every possible area that we can think of. So how is it possible that we can't do well in sport, especially when we are 1.3 billion people? I mean, it's just not adding up. Something is not right. So that's when I started doing a lot of my research, and I tried to really look up different organizations and all of that. And I came across 2 3 organizations, and my trustee was also a former tennis player who I met through a friend of mine, and got introduced. And then I started helping them with small runs, and then an auction. And then I realized that, oh my god, this is really interesting. And that time our aim at GoSports was to empower India's future Olympians. That just resonated with me. Like, wow, if you can just be part of even one athlete life who can actually go to the Olympics, for me, that was fascinating. So I remember having this conversation with my bosses in the bank, and they're like, do this part time, do it weekend, do this then. But I just, so initially I was supposed to leave post Olympics, but then I bought into this whole thing. And then I was like, okay, then December I was finally like, I want to go, I can't do this. And I started seeing the possibilities of sport and what this organization can do. I always believed that post banking I want to be in the social impact space, but I wanted to, where there is some sort of a purpose that you wake up with every day. And I think that's what I found. And that transition was very difficult at that point of time, obviously, um, career wise. And you know how bank designations are, and I was a youngest vice president in the wealth management thing. And then you're telling your parents you want to get into this, but my parents were supportive, saying if this is what you want to do, it's fine, but give yourself some time period, that in 1 year, if this doesn't work out, you'll figure it out and come back to corporate and all of that. So I think since their support was there, and my then husband at that point of time really supported me to take this decision. But it was really easy for me personally, because I felt like I'm getting into something where I don't know what I'm going to do, but there is so much potential,
Yes.
and my trustees and, my managing trustee, Nandan and Abhishek and Mr. Thomas Olipalli, all of them uh, had incredible careers, and they were
Yes.
like visionaries for me. And I resonated to what they wanted to do in India. And I think that's why that leap of faith happened. So, yeah, and I think that was the best decision. I'm going to finish going to step into my 9th year from Jan. So, yeah, I think best decision.
And
So
it's
sport happened that way.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. You say that you have a lot of learnings from the corporate sector, which you have adapted into this world. Whereas I come from the corporate sector, and we always used to say that if you want to see a character of a person, see how he or she is on a sports field or playing sports, and how their learnings from playing sports that you can adapt in the corporate world. So it's very interesting that you said that you've adapted learnings from the corporate sector into this world.
Yeah,
Uh,
I say that, Radha, because as a person, a large part of who I am is what sport has made you, and value
sure.
system, upbringing, and all of that. But
Yes.
being in a social impact space, running a foundation, I think every donor wants to know where my money is and who it's going to, right? And that's what the bank taught me about transparency, about systems, about processes, about all of that. So I meant those kind of
Yes.
learnings to be able to apply here, and hence take the foundation to the next level. So I
Absolutely.
think that those learnings is
Yeah.
what I was
Yeah.
mentioning.
So coming to the foundation, tell me, how would you describe the philosophy of GoSports Foundation?
So we are a 12-year-old foundation, and our philosophy started off initially to empower India's future Olympians. I think it was the same thought process that how is it that India doesn't have Olympians and Paralympians? I mean, we're too many people to not have. So obviously, there's something which is going wrong in a structure or in an ecosystem manner. So we did a survey at that point of time and tried to understand why don't athletes transition from a junior level to an emerging level or to an elite level. And we realized that a lot of them drop out at a state level, national level, because there is no pathway, there is no hand holding, there is no support team working with them. And that's the area that we felt that if we focus on that area, we'll eventually let them, it's a very difficult period for athletes, because they're teenagers, uh, parents, they don't, it's a difficult period with their parents at that point of time. There's pressure, there's peer pressure, there's 10th standard, 12th standard, there is this whole pressure on, are you going to study, are you going to be a professional athlete, what are you going to do, you're constantly choosing, right? So I think that's the area that we are focusing on. And also, as a setup, we believe that we're using sports as a vehicle for excellence. We believe that India, and there are incredible athletes where you can unlock their full potential through sport. They may never end up becoming a doctor or an engineer, but they can well go on to become an Olympian.
Yes.
I have an example of someone like Rani Rampal. She's India's hockey captain today, and we started supporting her in 2012. One
Yes.
of our first few scholarships that we gave. She was a cart puller's daughter at that point of time, but she wanted to play hockey, and she was so talented. And a coach said, "You just need to support her." So we supported her with a very small monthly stipend. Today, to see her leading the Indian hockey team, I mean, gives me goosebumps. Because just seeing her transition, become this role model, and all of that. So for us, I think it's a dual purpose. Obviously, there's performance, but largely it is really using sports as a vehicle to unlock the potential of talented Indian athletes.
And I'm sure there are many more stories like that which will give all of us goosebumps. And to be part of these journeys must be such an exciting thing for you personally as well. But tell me, what are some of the programs that GoSports Foundation supports, and how, in your view, have they impacted some of these journeys of these athletes like you were talking about?
Yeah. We actually currently support about 120 athletes across 5 different athlete development programs. So one is we actually run India's first and only Paralympic program where athletes, differently abled athletes, are training towards Paralympics. Today, there are a lot of other organizations who've come forward, but over the last
Yes.
8 years that we've been supporting differently abled athletes. So that's one program called the Para Champions program. We have another interesting program which is called the Rahul Dravid Athlete Mentorship Program. So Rahul's also on our advisory board, and we felt that how can we use Rahul's learnings over such a long career and allow that and apply that to Olympic sport. So we conceptualized the Rahul Dravid mentorship program where he mentors the athletes. We started with 3 athletes. Today we're currently 25 athletes in that program. But it's a very, very interesting concept because they talk to Rahul in topics which is non-performance related, but just life related. Or so I remember Kidambi Shrikant became world number one, and his conversation with Rahul was, okay, I've reached here, now what? And
Yes.
that only a person who's reached that stage can have a conversation with somebody and relate to that feeling, right?
Correct.
So I think the mentorship is working brilliantly, and we have many of these athletes who are under the mentorship program. You have someone like a Deepa Karmakar, you have a Satyan. He's a table tennis player. He's the first table tennis player in India to reach the top 25 in the world. Just breaking barriers. And I think Rahul gave us threw a challenge at us and said, find athletes and find sports which don't get support and which are completely alternate to the belief that, as Indians, we only do well in shooting or only do well in wrestling. Let's break that, and that's where we found a gymnast, a fencer, taekwondo, rowing. So it's
Yes.
a completely, Olympic focused program, but that's the Rahul Dravid Athlete Mentorship Program. We have another program called the Stars of Tomorrow program. This is, supported by the Dream Sports Foundation, but that is really picking up young talent who will eventually become the stars of tomorrow. And we've picked up non-Olympic sports over there. First time we've looked at squash, and there's equal amount of talent even in that. And they go up to the Asian Games and Commonwealth, but not Olympic sport.
Yes.
But we also lose a lot of the talent in squash. So that program focuses on 6 sports over there. And then we have a long-term athlete development program. And this is something actually Abhinav Bindra talks about a lot. And he's actually guided us and mentored us during his time as an advisor. That Olympic athletes are created after a minimum cycle of 8 to 10 years. So
Yes.
you have to find them at 13 and 14 and work with them and give them access to training, to sports science, to everything around them, create that ecosystem for them to become an elite athlete. What is happening today is once the athlete becomes an elite athlete, then there's funding and there's money and
Yes.
there's everything being thrown at them. But this is a junior development program, which is supported, and we support athletes over there. In fact, we had youth Olympians out of that program, and there are some of them who may actually qualify for the Tokyo Olympics as well. So we've seen the result of early support and identification, and these are our programs. And we have an athlete education program as well. I'd like to mention that because we realize that majority of our athletes drop out of school, or they're doing
Yes.
open schooling. So a large part of their social skills and development and networking is completely revolved around people they meet and their own ecosystem. They don't know anything about the real world. So we started these athlete education sessions as part of the programs, just to help them, understand when they sign a contract, what is it that they need to keep in mind. It's not just, oh, someone's giving you 1 lakh, take the money, but what are you committing to for that? What are you putting into your body? The whole anti-doping protocols, nutrition, psychology, everything from a knowledge and awareness standpoint. And that's what we're really doing. And during this pandemic, actually, we very interestingly launched a new initiative called Play for India. While entire country understands what's happened to migrant workers and all of that, sport came to a complete halt. And
Yes.
there are hundreds and thousands of our coaches, junior coaches, cleaners of stadiums, and everyone who had absolutely nowhere to go and no income. So we launched this initiative, and uh, our athletes front ended these initiatives and raised money. And former athletes as well. You had a Viren Raskina, you had an Aparna Popat, all of them looking at different sports and causes. And in a span of 3 months, we actually raised a significant amount of money to support more than 500 beneficiaries. So I think that is an initiative we will, till the time things come back to normal, we will keep going. And yeah, so this is all the things that are actually happening at GoSports.
But it's incredible to see that all your programs, they are through the life cycle of a sports person. From the beginning, like you said, what Abhinav Bindra has said, or the superstars. And Rahul Dravid, oh my God, I've been a big fan of his since he came on the cricket scene. And it's so wonderful to see him giving back to the world of sport. And not only cricket, which has made him what he is today, but like you said, he says, pick up sports for which India is not known, or, alternate sports, and then support that. So
Yeah,
it's
because
really
otherwise we would have never picked up these sports. We would have gone the traditional route. Uh, so yeah,
yes.
all thanks to Rahul actually for
No,
challenging us.
I continue to be a big fan of his, and he's such an inspiration. But tell me, Ditip, you played sports yourself for the state of Karnataka. Do you think the fact that you played sports was an advantage in the way you approached going about your work at GoSports Foundation?
Yeah, definitely. I think I saw the gaps in the challenges. I was just telling you about this tournament we went for, right? And where we had to
Yes.
stay. And it's as basic as that. It's basic safety, it's basic hygiene, it's just basic treating an athlete like a human being, right? I think, yes, I did approach a lot of it from that. And I also did a lot of, there was no athlete management concept when I joined, at least in the last 8 years, there's been no concept. And in some sense, GoSports has created that concept of athlete management. And today we've seen the government adopt those processes and these policies. And it's really heartening to see, because for any foundation, you want the government to do it because the scale comes in through that. So they have something called as the Target Olympic Podium Scheme. And, our uh, current minister, sports minister, is also really, really enthusiastic, and he wants to see India in the top 10 in the next two Olympic cycles. So he's doing everything in his capacity. So it's really nice to see the ecosystem coming together and talking to each other and having conversations. Because initially when I came, I was like, what's happening? Nobody is talking. Everyone is, just sitting with themselves. And
Yes.
and the first question I would get asked is, but why are you doing this? Like, क्यों कर रहे हो? Like I had to explain, like, why did I leave that job and why do I want to be here? And so I think once you started showing results, once you started showing what you can deliver and what you bring to the table, I think they slowly started opening up. Because you know how the setup has been over the years. There are the same people sitting on the top of the federations for years and years and years, and nobody has really done anything outside of it for them to step back and take notice. But suddenly there are a lot of organizations like us who today are making sure that everyone in the ecosystem wakes up and starts doing it, because technically we are doing the job of the government or the federation or
Yes.
whatever it is. So I think that has what I've learned in my sporting career, I've definitely been able to apply. And also the biggest part is, I don't know if I would have ever become a great tennis player or a basketball player. I don't know right now when I think of it. But if there was someone like an organization who supported you and said,
Yes.
you know what, it's okay. This is a difficult period. You transition through this. We'll work with you. We'll support you. Don't worry about the money. Take care of your nutrition. Just keep playing. Just all you have to do is keep playing. Who knows? So that is one thing. So I'm like, okay, my chance is gone. But if you get this option to work with other athletes, and I think that has been the most humbling and amazing feeling that I have, that just to be part of these journeys.
Yes,
over the years.
I was just going to say that just to be part of these journeys, some of course have reached the Olympics, etc. But just to be part of the journey itself, like they say, enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Have been so exciting. But this is Women in Sports Unplugged, so I have to ask you this question. And you worked with so many athletes and so many other foundations, etc. What in your view do you think are some of the challenges or hurdles specifically which girls face in getting into sports or in training? So I would love to hear your view on this topic.
Yeah, rather I started by saying, that uh, we actually come from very privileged backgrounds where we never had to deal with this boy girl equality sort of a thing very evidently, right? It has been there. When you think back now, there have been instances, but it's never something that made you stop playing. But I think I've worked with now over about 150 young girls at different age groups. It really ranges from, they play because of that goodness, I would say. They just want to prove it to someone that they've got it in them. It's not for that medal, it's not for, but it's like, what, I can do this. I've got this, and I will feed my family by doing this. So a
Yes,
lot of times it's like, some of them are running away from marriages in smaller towns, some of them also from harassment, abuse. So and it's great that they've channelized their energy into sport, right? Some of them stop playing because they're like, who's going to marry you if you become dark? The standard social pressure that we have, which I mean, it's still there, but yeah, that is one of the things. And also in terms of uh, safety is
yes,
a big part of it, right? Toilets, no clean toilets, nutrition. A lot of the girls, I've spoken to some of them, have said that they are probably the youngest in the family, so the food they get is only the last roti left. So
yes,
a lot of them who we start supporting are so malnutrition. We start from basic, getting them to just nutrition and
yes,
then sport. But despite all of that, they are playing at the best level. They're playing their best. Sometimes I wonder, how are they producing these results? Because when you see their blood markers and you see their results, you're like, how is this individual doing this, right? So if you correct it, what else can they achieve? So I think it's a combination of that, but safety is definitely one of the top aspects. We also work with a lot of differently abled athletes. So over there, along with all of this, it's also the physical movement challenge.
yes,
There's some terrible data that says that 1 in 3 differently abled people get abused as well. Yeah, it's they're already differently able, so they need an escort, they need support teams, they need a lot of it. So they have really challenged themselves and come to this stage. So I think the your entourage or your support team or your circle is very critical for you to excel. It's that belief that only they give you, that you got this and you can go to the next level, right? So I think that's something we always attempt to do for our female athletes, that you do the best you can do. And if you're getting some sort of harassment, or you're getting pushed over, or some of the girls I know have cut their hair really short and started wearing caps because they seem like they're guys and they don't get stopped or bullied,
yes,
so all kinds of things that have come across. But I think just uh, hearing the stories and how they've overcome it, and that fighter spirit that they have, I think that has been incredible. And women in sport is such a, even globally, rather, it's not a very full-fledged space. Today there are a lot of organizations, women leading this space, but there's so much more to do. Even if you talk about administration, I can pick the number of women in the entire Indian ecosystem who are in sports administration. We won't cross 10 or 12,
yes,
right, out of the entire pile. But there are lots of youngsters who are doing their courses now, doing sports management courses, lots of girls who are getting into it. So for me, sport is not only about playing, but you can be a sports physiotherapist, a psychologist, you can be an administrator. There's so many different roles you can play in sport today as a woman. So you don't have to only be an athlete. And we are seeing that even in the foundation, we work with some fantastic physiotherapists, nutritionists, um, mental conditioning experts, psychologists, all of them who are female and young and doing incredibly well. So yeah, I love that whole movement that has started in some sense.
No, and I think, like you said, the whole ecosystem, you can be part of that. You don't only have to be an athlete or a sports person. But the point you made on safety, I've over the last few interviews that I've done, a lot of people talked about that. So, once you improve the facilities or the conditions, then more and more girls will be comfortable to come and start playing sports.
Yeah.
In fact, Sports Village told me about some schools in some parts of India where the girls were shy to wear shorts to play. So, it starts from there, right? What kind of clothes you will wear. Or you mentioned about girls cutting their hair so that
Yeah.
people don't,
And the toilets are in such bad states, and also young girls have their periods, they're also just also realizing their body and getting to know new things,
yes,
and then they're playing sport and they don't have a place to change. They don't know about hygiene. That leads to other sort of infection, and it's all connected. So we're actually planning to launch a women in sport program, primarily focusing on this, going to every part of India and picking up the best talent of young girls and just giving them everything to get to the next level. And in the process, supporting that entire ecosystem. So their stadiums, their toilets, the safety
yes,
issues, educating them about how to take care of themselves as well. Being able to speak up um, in case something happens. So yeah, it's a long process, but I think I'm very very keen to get this program rolling and to
yes.
see how this will impact the ecosystem.
Yes, and in this process, the more role models that are created, I always say that, diversity, whether it's in sports or in other fields, it's also, when there are more role models. And hence, I used to always argue, I worked in a German firm, that why do you have a quota system? And then I realized that they wanted to create the role models so that there are more people you can look up to as well, right? So the more role models that come out of the system, then you'll have more girls wanting to take up the sports.
And you've seen that, right, with a PV Sindhu, a Deepa Karmakar, a
Exactly.
Saina Nehwal, Sania Mirza. Today they're all household names. Nobody used to talk. We had one PT Usha who we would talk about, right?
Yes.
And then Karnam Maleshwari ma'am who came in and won the medal. But there are not too many names. Today there are so many names. You ask anyone, they know them, and then there are brands investing in them today.
That's right.
They're getting their recognition. So I think the talent and the commercial side of it also, female athletes are getting their due and their recognition, and including differently abled athletes also getting their recognition. So
Yes.
I think we've come a long way. If I see 2012 when we started to where we are now, yes, there are lots of concerns and problems, and that's in every area, right? There's always going to be something which is not right or something that needs to be fixed. But looking back, I think we must acknowledge how far we've come as the Indian ecosystem. I think that definitely is something
Yes.
to appreciate.
Yes. And thanks to foundations like yourself, there has been so much which has happened here. No, wonderful. So before we move to the fun section of the talk, which is the rapid fire round, I have one last question for you. If there's one message that you would like to give to the women and the girls who are watching and listening to this show, what would that be to encourage them to look at sports?
I think sport will allow you to find yourself. Uh, so sport allows you me time. Sport allows you to see what your body is capable of. Sport allows you to make friends, to be confident, to be positive. Sports just gives you everything that you keep trying to find in another social arrangement or engagement. So take up sport because it will help you both mentally and physically and for your entire life. So, take up sport.
What a wonderful message. Sports is truly your life. I can see that. But what a wonderful message, really.
Thank you.
Okay, so are we ready now for the rapid fire round?
Yes.
So I have 5 words for you. When I say a word, you have to tell me what comes into your mind. Okay? Okay. We good to go?
Yeah.
Okay. The first word is goal.
Olympic gold medal for India.
I like that. That's a great goal. Okay. The second word is sport.
Tennis. And dad and tennis, I think. For me, doesn't
Not
go
Steffi
without
Graf.
that.
Steffi Graf.
Yeah. She's idle, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The third word is education.
Oxford.
Okay.
I'm saying that because, like I
You're
told you,
off
growing
in
up.
March for that March 2021. Yes.
Yeah. So I never thought I'll get to Oxford with my many, with my marks, I would say, but I'm really looking forward to that.
No, and hearty congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you.
Okay. The fourth word is food.
Gulab jamun.
Oh, okay. We're just recovering from Diwali. Let's not talk about sweets.
I'm still in Diwali mode, but yeah, Bangalore has this one gulab jamun. It's not even round; it's like long.
Oh my God.
And this place called Bhagatram. When you come here, I will get you that. It is.
I was just going to say, now I know what to avoid in Bangalore when I come next time. Okay,
Yeah.
the last word is family.
Parents, sister, and my dog Scotch family.
Yes. I saw your dog during the talk.
He's actually, I don't know if you can see him, he's passed out here.
I did see him in the middle of the interview. He was listening very intently.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes. No, I too have a dog and I can relate to what you feel for that.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Deepthi. I really enjoyed talking to you and so many takeaways. And it's wonderful what GoSports Foundation is doing for promoting sports in the country and the aspirations on Olympics, etc. I think it's just so wonderful. And please keep at it and all the best to you. And congratulations, you're off to Oxford in March 2021. I did mention that in the intro as well. I hope the viewers also enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. You can find this talk on podcast, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Zip Talks, on YouTube channel, #ziptofitness, and on Instagram page, ziptofitness. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's fantastic talking to you.